coming from, it becomes so easy for you to actually understand on how to just avoid what is actually causing it and what is feeding it. And once you do that, it becomes easier for you to actually make sure that you actually recover from this. So welcome on board. It is a pleasure to have all of you here. Amazing people are just flocking in, and I believe it's because I did this advert early morning. And you can't afford to miss this. So tag that gentleman or that lady who has been diagnosed with cancer in your neighborhood. Tag that person who is suffering from side effects of chemo. Tag that person who has always had a complication of diabetes, because diabetes is actually one of the reasons why people are suffering from cancer. And the reason is because diabetes lowers your immune system, and that affects how your body reacts to actually to the cancer cells. So tonight, I'm going to talk to you about the basics of cancer. I'm going to talk to you about the role of fasting in healing cancer, because you need to know this. Why do we fast? Now, on the basics, I'm going to talk about the characteristics of cancer cells. Do you know the difference between cancer cells and your normal cells? Why are they even called cancer cells? Do you even know the definition of cancer? Why is cancer defined as a group of conditions? Is that one of the reasons why we cannot even treat it, because we are targeting a group of conditions? Should it be called a syndrome because it's a collection of diseases, or a collection of different diseases that affect the cells? Should we? So that is what we are going to answer here. We are going to answer, we are going to talk about the types of cancers. And when I talk about the types, this is where we will actually now start classifying different things, but you will know. And then we'll talk about the risk factors, which are equivalently known as the causes, of course. So when you have risk factors for cancer, they can be interpreted as causes. And that's the reason why, if you know the risk factors, you avoid the risk factors, cancer is gone. And then we will talk about the diagnosis, and then, of course, the management or the prevention of cancer. And underline this, when we'll be talking about the risk factors or the causes, that is where you'll tap in how to prevent cancer. So stick back and just enjoy this conversation. And I repeat, this one is more of preventive than curative. So if you are sitting there hoping that, you know what, I can eat whatever I want to eat, if I get cancer, there is chemo. Keep in mind that number one side effect of chemotherapy is to cause cancer. Keep in mind that number one side effect of the radiation that is used to treat cancer causes cancer. Keep in mind that the radiation that is used to diagnose cancer, things like mammography, are actually going to expose you to more cancer. So therefore, from the diagnostic techniques, from the treatment techniques, all of them can actually easily expose you to cancer, because they are non-specific. Okay, they are non-specific. They don't only focus on the cancer cells specifically. No, they focus on all cells, only that cancer cells are rapidly multiplying. Therefore, it's easy for us to target them and destroy them, because they are rapidly multiplying. However, there are cells in the body that are also rapidly multiplying. One of them is the gonads, the sex cells. 2 is the skin cells. 3 is the epithelial cells that line the mouth. 4 is the skin cells, the bone marrow cells. Allow me to say hi to the people who are from your area code. So as you join in, tell us you're joining us from where, so that I can actually shout you out and shout the people from where you are, because it's a norm here. We must say hi to individuals before we start the show. Again, Dr. Lay is my name, and you know very well how we do it. This is the only health channel that you should sit back and enjoy health content for free. This is a channel that will challenge you. You must come in with an open mind. It's a challenge that will actually answer most of the gaps, will fill most of the gaps that you people have always wanted to be filled in the healthcare system. I see Tony from Kisii. How are you, Tony? Welcome on board, bro. I see Josephine Miruka from Ngong. Amazing to have you here. How is Ngong? True from Nairobi. I see you. San Peter from Kahawa Sukari. Locked in as usual. I see Joy B. watching from Ongata Rongai. I saw an incident of Ongata Rongai robbery. I was like, where? Hazel from Mary. Hazel, how are you? I see Rachel joining from South Africa. Thank you so much, Rachel. I see Masikomalesa watching from South Africa. Hey, we have a very good fan base in South Africa. I see Jack Kimagomba. I also see Tawai from Vihiga. Karibu sana. I see Happy African Atheist. Kaleka staff. Kalipona man. Okay. Kale kastaf kalipona man. Kastaf kagani. Atheist. Kastaf kagani. Finn from Uganda. I see you, Finn. Royalty Ruaka following. Rebs from Busia on the border. I see you. I see Omino Jaoko. I see Kijana Musyoki. I see KK from Uganda. I see Mickey. I'm back from Mexico. Niko Mayakos. Umeenda kukula chapati Machakos. Somebody from Luanda, Carol. It's Carol. Thank you, Carol. Kijana Musyoki from Makueni. I see you. All of you are here. Thank you so much for joining in. As you join in, H. Charles from Zug, Switzerland. Amazing to have a Switzerland person in the building. So as you join in, say hi to some individuals from your area code and also like the live so that it can actually get to most people. Mtwapa, Roninje. Is it Roninje? Ryan Onje. I see you, Ryan. Is it Ryan Onje or Ryan? Hey, what a name. On my YouTubes, I see Josephine J. Opande. I see you. I see Safis in the building. I see Joab Oboge, Jen Muendo from Ruai Kamulu Joska. I see Ses. I see Kahu Hanjuga. Cosmos Cheruyot is in the building. Penelope Kirote. Hey, amazing. Winnie Chege, Catherine Wangari, Emma Chi, Mwananchi Ulaya. Hello, Daktari. This is Eutychus. Eutychus, how are you, bro? How is the UK? Eutychus from UK. Look at that rhyme. Hey, in my other world, I would be Amsani. Eutychus from... Yeah, Cinnamon, I see you from Kirigiti. At least somebody from Kirigiti is here. Where in Kirigiti? I played soccer in Kirigiti, my friends. Hey. Ningekuwa msanii, ningekuwa naangusha rhymes hapo. Eutychus from UK is vitu gani hapo we? Alafu ngoma yangu moja ina hit, mnanisherekea after mnaanza kuuliza ingine next. Next na flop, you guys will come after my throat. One ngoma msanii from Doha. I see Deno Omamo. I see you. Nerima Onganga. I see you. I see Anna Odwor, Sharon Mwika. From Scandinavia. Mugure Njoroge. Arnold from Mombasa Sabasaba. Mambo ya Sabasaba haya. Anna Karaya, Waidhira, Eunice Karimi, Uniket Karimi. So we have Uniket Karimi. Augustine Odindo, Lilian Ayako, Carol Blessed, Ses K, Emma Chi, I see you. I see Kevin Maurice, Rai Alfredo, Joyce Amaro, Eliud Waweru, Elizabeth Mdhoni, Jen Ndawa, today mmeja, we? Atroza Kinyi, Joy Wambui, Nzembi the Queen, Fumzile Mazibuko, I see you from UK, Engineer B. Mwangi, Priska Anyangu, Martin Maina, Mudhoni Uwarukira, Traveling Through Time, Angelica Nyange, Thomas Wanjala. Thomas, how are you, bro? Amazing job you're doing, brother. I appreciate you in terms of fitness, man. Carol Blessed from Donholm. I've told you stories about Donholm. Johannes Senior from Namibia. Evans Naibey, Aska Prameris. Lenny Nyaga, Betty A from London, UK. Someone from Paris. Lenny Nyaga from Paris. Aska from Langata, Mwananchi Ulaya, loud and clear, Daniel Njeru Thika, and Betty from London, UK. Thank you so much for joining in, all of you. So let's jump into it because this is going to be a very interesting topic and possibly it can take us some good time, okay? Now, before I even define cancer to you, allow me to tell you this. If you have a book, a pen, and you've seated down, you want to write something, start by writing the word tumor. Andika jina tumor. Jina ni tumor. After you've written tumor, separate it into two. One side write benign, one side write malignant. So listen, we have tumors that are benign. Benign means they don't spread. They are localized, na mbana zinaanza kuswell. So they swell from that point, and these are no problem at all. Are no problem. Why? Because they are localized. Therefore, your immune system can easily target them and destroy them. You can easily do a surgery and remove the tumor, and you're good to go. Turn the other side, where now we have the malignant. The malignant tumors are the ones that are actually called the cancers. Okay? So on the malignant side, that's where the problem is. So we have tumor. We have separated them into benign, which tells you that not all tumors are cancers, because now the other side is malignancy. So not all tumors are cancers, but all cancers are tumors, because they come from tumors to come into malignancy. So not all cancers are tumors, but all tumors are cancers. Do you understand that? So we have a tumor, we have benign, they don't spread. Then we have the ones that spread, which are the malignant. Now, the ones that spread, which are called the cancers, the malignant tumors, they are classified into two. Why? Because of where they affect and how they spread. So So if you have a malignant tumor, it means it can spread through blood. And remember, blood is actually called a connective tissue. So there are those that spread through the connective tissue, and blood is one of them. Now, these are the ones that are actually called sarcomas. People who have HIV are diagnosed with the cancer of the skin that is called Kaposi's sarcoma. You understand that? So anytime your medical teacher is proud, thank you, happy African atheist. I hope so. I hope so. Shout out to them. They did a good job though, but they did a good job to condition me into something else. And then now I had to actually unplug. Yeah, so sometimes they look at me, they comment on my Facebook pages, they're like, hey, daktari, what happened? Well, ulienda na wapi? I'm like, hey, just relax, professor. There's one called Professor 𝗕𝗫𝗥𝗚𝗏. He was from Rwanda, a very humble gentleman. That guy, may God keep him safe, man. 𝗕𝗫𝗥𝗏, I bless you, brother. Good. So we've said we have tumors, and then we have the benign. They don't spread. The ones that swell, they can easily be removed by surgery. Your immune system can actually destroy them. This other side, we have the malignant tumors. The malignant are the ones that we call cancers because they spread. Malignancy means they spread. And cancer cells or the tumors, they spread through two channels. One is blood, which is the connective tissue. We've said they are called the sarcomas. The other side is the lymph, the lymphatic system. And in the lymphatic system, there are the ones that are actually called carcinoma, adenocarcinoma. So if you see a cancer diagnosis that has the word carcinoma, it tells you it spreads through the lymphatic system. It prefers to spread through the lymphatic system. If you see a cancer that is actually a diagnosis for cancer that is actually called a sarcoma, just understand it spreads through the connective tissue, and blood is the largest connective tissue. Are we together? Once we are together, we are already becoming oncologists. So now you've understood the chain. Remember, this chain is going to be used as we speak about the other cancer. So you will have to remember it. I'm insisting because you will have to remember it. So this is the easiest way to understand how cancer spreads and what cancer is. Now, once you've understood that, you understand already that all cancers are actually tumors, but not all tumors are cancers. Pause and hold that thought. Once you've held that thought, let's go now to the definition of cancer, because somebody will ask, we've heard about cancer all through. What then is this cancer? What is cancer? Now, let me just go straight into the definition that you people chase all the time. When you go to Google and you type define cancer, let me just read it for you. And you will know how confusion comes in. This is a definition from National Cancer Institute. Let's read it out loud and see. The definition of cancer. Cancer is a disease in which some of the body's cells grow uncontrollably and spread to other parts of the body. Now, pause and reflect. If cancer was a disease, we would easily handle it. We will not have all these problems with cancer. If it was just a disease, just like malaria. And remember, a disease is just a dis-ease. So your body is not at ease. That's what a disease is. To me, cancer is a condition. That's why it's becoming difficult to handle it, because again, it's actually utilizing your cellular mechanisms to actually multiply. So it's actually basically your own cells, but they are multiplying abnormally. Now, that is the definition according to NCI, the National Cancer Institute. But I want you to actually listen to another definition of cancer and embrace this one. Why? Because this one makes sense, and we will see it makes sense as we go ahead with the discussions. Okay? Good. Cancer is a group of diseases. Now it has changed from just one disease to a group. This is the reason why it's hard to treat it. It's a group of diseases that are characterized by uncontrolled growth and division of abnormal cells in the body. Hello? Should we repeat that? Cancer is a group of diseases characterized by the uncontrolled growth and division of abnormal cells in the body. So you have cells of your body, and then you have abnormal cells. They are still your cells, but remember, cells are controlled by something called a cell cycle, and it's a hormonal regulation. So cells have to be born into a cell cycle from the stem cells. They have to divide and differentiate, and now they go, and after they mature, they leave the cell cycle to differentiate, to do different functions. So only when they are mature and they are leaving the cell cycle, that's the time that you can actually say, they are good to leave the cell cycle. As a firstborn, you get to a certain age, you have to leave the home. So you don't stay with your mama. It's the same thing. Cells have matured, they have differentiated, and they have to serve different purposes. They are released from the cell cycle to go and serve different purposes. However, there are cells that evade mechanisms of this cell cycle, the regulatory mechanisms of this cell cycle. Those cells, once they do that, they have to survive because they will face the wrath of your immune system. Now, we constantly talk about you boosting the immune system through eating healthy and fasting and going to the gym and doing cold showers and all those. Why do we talk about that? Because we know that these cells that are actually leaving the cell cycle prematurely and they want to survive outside the cell cycle, they have to be kept in check. And that tells you all of us produce these cells every single day. Every one of us produces these malfunctional, immature, and very misbehaving cells every single day. But the beauty is the body has an internal way of actually clearing these cells, your immune system. So it destroys them. Amazing, right? But when you have low immunity, because these cells are going to evade the mechanisms of cell cycle, which is hormonal regulation, if there is a mutation in the cells or in the genes that actually control the division of these cells. And these mutations, are, unfortunately, they are actually caused by our lifestyle, smoking, eating, exposure to toxins. We will talk about those toxins when we'll be talking about the risk factors. So all these cause mutations that actually assist these cells to evade the mechanism of the cell cycle. And once they're out of the cell cycle, they are not able to be regulated anymore. So if they are not able to be regulated, what is going to happen? They are going to start multiplying so fast because they also have innate understanding that they are not going to be here for the longest period of time. So they want to actually survive in the harsh environments of your own immune cells. However, note this. These cells are evading the cell cycle because of mutations that are caused by lifestyles, right? The same lifestyle are actually lowering your immune system. Therefore, what do we expect? That's where you become active. What do you expect? If they are evading the cell cycle because of mutations in the genes, and now they are coming out, and the same lifestyle that actually made them evade the cell cycle is the same mechanisms or same lifestyle that actually is causing a low immune system. What do we expect? We expect these cells to actually have the freedom to multiply aimlessly because they are supposed to be destroyed by the immune system. But now they have to multiply aimlessly. And this is where diabetes becomes a serious problem in people who are actually being diagnosed with cancer. The relationship is diabetes causes mutations because sugar is dangerous to your mitochondria, where mutations start from. And then the same sugar lowers your immune system because it holds back to the white blood cells. Therefore, they cannot get to where they need to get to actually give you the action. So, double tragedy. You've destroyed the mechanism to regulate the cell cycle, and then now you've lowered the immune system. Therefore, you're allowing these cells to actually go out and multiply rapidly. And why are they multiplying rapidly? Because they have to make sure that they survive, survival instinct. They have to make sure that they multiply so fast so that they overwhelm your weak immune system. Once they overwhelm your weak immune system, they can easily spread, they can easily just do what they want to. They destroy your system entirely. Tumeelewana mpaka hapo? Tumekubaliana mpaka hapo? So let's refresh this before we continue. Once you understand those basics, cancer has nothing on you. Once you just understand that all of us anyway, we have cancer cells. We have these cells that are rapidly multiplying and rapidly destroying our system. You will understand that there's a role you have to play to actually prevent cancer. And this conversation is inspired by the number of people who are in sports. So they are working out actively, but they still end up having cancer. That should ring a bell to you that exercise is not enough to prevent you from getting cancer. Because anyway, you have it, but now if you're feeding it, you're going to mess up. So those people who say, I'll eat chapati and go and train in the gym. Now you want to have your answers here. Those people who constantly say, me, I'll just eat pizza. It's just one day and soda, and then I go and run. You will not run that sugar out of the system. I can assure you for free. And trust me, as you sit there and enjoy this content, I want you to open up your head and start thinking with me. Start understanding that is this really a business? Because the multinational food industries will feed you the foods, the carbohydrates that are very processed and fortified. So it will feed you with those foods 5-10 years down the line. You just saw how rice is messed up in Kenya. The same rice that all of us are binging on these Christmas festives. Now there's somebody who, even if they're eating this rice, in their head they're thinking, where will they get the next money for the next chemo session? The chemo round. Where are they going to get money for the surgery? These are the people that I appeal to, because I know with that desperation, you can easily change something. You know that? So yes, somebody is there looking at the chapatis being made in this Christmas festive and thinking, hey, if I eat this chapati and I have cancer, will I be feeding the same cancer? We'll know about it. So having known that cancer is a group of conditions, so let's call it a syndrome. We don't call it a disease. Because if it was a disease, we could just destroy it easily. But of course, even if it's a syndrome, we have control over. We have a role to play. We can easily do away with this cancer. We can. Because we simply change where it's coming from. You see that? Good. So let's continue. So, unlike normal cells, cancer cells will evade or bypass the regulations and the regulatory mechanisms of the cell cycle. And this cell cycle controls, number one, the division of the cells. You know about mitosis and meiosis? So that cell cycle controls that. Number two, the growth. So after division, there is now growth. So this cell cycle is responsible for controlling growth. Therefore, if the cell cycle is functional, if there are no mutations, there is no abnormal growth, there is no abnormal division and multiplication of these cells. And number three, cell death. So that cell cycle has three roles: control division, control growth, and control death of the cells. Now there's something called apoptosis. Apoptosis is tumeanza kuingia kwa shida. Apoptosis is a programmed cell death, the natural program that the body has to actually kill cells. For example, your red blood cells are destroyed after 120 days. That is apoptosis. For example, you have a hand, and this hand, we have spaces here. These spaces are there intentionally because the body destroyed these cells here. Because remember, one time they were this way. So it had to destroy it to actually create these fingers and differentiation. This is what we call apoptosis. It is programmed cell death. The body destroys cells that are actually useless, cells that are dividing aimlessly, and cells that are not supposed to be there. Apoptosis. Have you learned a new word today? Amazing. Let's continue. Now, so when you don't have this regulation, let's say you have a mutation that is actually affecting the cell cycle. So therefore you cannot control growth, you cannot control division, you cannot control natural death of these cells. So what do you expect? You expect abnormal division of these cells, zitakuwa mingi. You expect abnormal growth of these cells, they'll give you tumors. And then you'll expect no cell death. So even if they are multiplying and dividing rapidly, they cannot die. And that's a problem. We move. Take a minute and just let it sink in, because as it's sinking in, I am here. I'm not going anywhere. We must understand it. Lazima tutaelewa. Hii mambo ya kusema, oh, cancer ni nini? Cancer is, you're even afraid of cancer. You're even afraid to shake a hand of somebody who has been diagnosed with cancer because you're thinking, huyu ataniambukiza. This is where we do away with stigma. This is where we challenge the health systems. This is where we tell your oncologist, hey, you know what? Yes, you have gone to school and you've been bestowed the power to read and write, not to think. You are bestowed with the power to read and write. Sawa oncologist, but are you thinking? Outside the syllabus, is there anything else you're doing? Or after you've just gotten the diagnosis, you're now selling fear to the patient. After selling fear to the patient, you're heading them straight to chemo, which is going to cause more side effect. And all of you know, or most of you who have actually served cancer patients know, cancer does not become a problem until after the diagnosis. Oh, once somebody gets a diagnosis, just like HIV, oh, you lose weight so fast. And then you're thinking, what about now chemo? You're going for chemo. And then what next? Side effect after side effect after side effect, and your life just goes on a downward trajectory. And then of course, ulikufa cancer. Just the same way unakufanga diabetes, you die of diabetes when we are treating you of diabetes, right? And then we say, oh, you know what, cancer will one day die. And then we do that Kasako thing of cancer awareness, and then we go and hold all these meetings for cancer and the new studies and research about cancer, but the cancer cases are still going up even though we have all this chemotherapeutic medication. And then we go ahead and cut a cake during Cancer Day. Cancer Awareness Day, we cut a cake and people drink soda and we cheers. And then after there, we go and drink alcohol so that we say, oh, you know what? My aunt died of cancer. Let me just ease up with the stress by taking 2 shots of tequila or 2 tots of your favorite whiskey. Is it Jack Daniels like mine those days? Oh, you know, auntie yangu alikufa cancer. Now in your head, you're even thinking, because the doctor said it's genetics, you're thinking, oh, maybe I have a chance to get cancer. Maybe I have a chance. There's always a chance that I'll get cancer because it's in our genes. And before you even think about it, your uncle is being chopped the leg here, diabetic foot. You're looking at your uncle, you're like, I. Now this is my closest uncle, which means I might be the next in line. No, you're not. You are not. Because cancer is not in the genes as such. 2 to 10% roles. Cancer is in the diets. Anyway, let us continue. So 2 places where cancer spreads through. 1 is the blood connective tissue. 2 is the lymphatic system. If it's spreading through the lymphatic system, we already said it's a carcinoma. If it's spreading through the connective tissue, it's called a sarcoma. Now, the most interesting part comes in this way. Cancer spreads so fast through inflamed tissues. When you have high inflammation in the system, these cells that are unable to be controlled by the system, these cells that the immune system, that have overwhelmed the immune system and are spreading all over, affecting different organs and different tissues, they spread so fast through inflamed tissues. So if you're eating inflammatory foods and causing a lot of inflammation to your system, if your stress levels are always high, if you're obese because fat is inflammatory, if you have high estrogen in the system because of using hormonal contraceptives, because of exposing yourself to pesticides that have glyphosate, because of using tampons that have arsenic, you never fast, you eat all the time, you're causing a lot of inflammation to your system, and now you're actually encouraging cancer to spread even faster. Take yourself back a little bit. Cancer has 2 sources of energy that it utilizes perfectly, but 1 is the most important one. 1 source of energy for cancer cells is glucose. Basically, carbohydrates. Carbohydrates. Sugar is okay, right? In moderation. Thank you. So, glucose plays a 95 to 98% as a source of energy to cancer cells, those cells that are rapidly multiplying. So, as you binge yourself on carbohydrates, just remember, if at all you ever get a mutation in that cell cycle and then the cells evade that cell cycle, you are in trouble. If you've been diagnosed with cancer and you're still consuming sugar and thinking that chemo is coming in to change your kitchen, you're in trouble. Are we together? So therefore, carbohydrate diets are crazy. And I know the weird part is that you people are so stuck in the fear that oncologists have sold to you. You are so stuck in the fear that you've been sold by the health systems, the cancer centers. You see, the system is designed very perfectly. 1, isolate them, call them cancer patients. Number 2, build a cancer center. Build a cancer center. Do you know why that cancer center is being built? Because the diagnostics of cancer, the radiations that are coming from that diagnosis can actually cause cancer to other people. So that's why you're segregated. And that's a mistake. Number 2, because that chemotherapy agent that you're using there, that medication that you're using there, if it gets on the contact with the doctor's skin or other people's skin, it's going to cause them cancer. Now you understand very well why your doctor wears all those masks, the head shield, the double gown, the double gloves, the goggles, and still mixes chemotherapeutic agents in a fume chamber. Now you understand perfectly. Now this is not a live to sell fear to people who are already using chemotherapeutic agents. You can still go on and do what you have to do. This is a live that is not going to replace your doctor's advice. So that's a disclaimer. This is a life that is going to open up your head so that you start thinking instead of just reading and writing. Think. So we have that center there. And nowadays they are very famous. Oh, you know what? Our governor built a cancer center. Your governor did not build a library. He built a cancer center. Your governor did not even build a market for organic foods. He built a cancer center, right? Aye. Aye. Acha tukunywe maji. Tumeongea mingi. So hata kama ni wewe, even if it's you who has been diagnosed with cancer, or who has just gone in, you've been referred to the cancer center. You see, the same way we have a CCC center for people who have HIV and TB and all that. And there's a hospital for them. You see that segregation? That's where stigma starts from. That's where stigma starts from, because immediately you've been referred to the cancer center, you're thinking the worst. Already, your immune system is going down, because your immune system starts from your head. It's already going down. You're like, what do I expect from there? If you just walk in and they take your blood pressure in the air, they'll have to give you nifedipine under the tongue for them to actually do any other thing. Your heart is pumping. You just want to leave the chest. You know that, right? Yeah? So you've been isolated already. And that isolation is going to sell you the fear already. So now you're coming in already afraid. And now you're thinking, those people who are there are the ones who are supposed to actually dictate what you will do with your life. Of course, they're going to dictate it using the guidelines and the syllabus. Oh. Ndege inaanguka. Now you go there, you do a CT scan, you're told, you need to come back for a biopsy test, you know what, your samples are going to be sent to South Africa. All this is intentional. Of course, we don't have those techniques, most of those techniques here, so some of the samples have to be sent outside the country for further diagnosis. But you see, how many people, through that fear, have been diagnosed or misdiagnosed with cancer? My friend, I have a cousin of mine, it's called Brian, now about 21 or so. When he was 11, he had this swelling in his mouth, the upper part of the mouth. And I will not mention the hospital, but when he went to Kisumu, at that moment in time, there was this cancer for children that was called bucket lymphoma. Bucket lymphoma is where you can actually Google it and just see how it happens to the mouth. So this guy went there, took about 2 weeks in the hospital, and he was forwarded to the cancer center because of the symptom already. They didn't even ask if the gentleman was using phenobarbital, because phenobarbital can actually cause that problem. They didn't ask the lifestyle. They just forwarded him to the cancer center, and they diagnosed him with the acute bucket lymphoma. Hey, what is that? You should have seen my relatives asking, hii acute nini daktari? I'm like, hiyo wacha daktari atashughulikia. Mimi hapa nimenawa mkono. The guy was put on chemo. Hey, Brian, I hope one day you'll come out and give your testimony. He was put on chemo. He did about 4 rounds. He lost hair like crazy. Thank God he was only 12. He lost hair. He had this pink mouth. He became weak. And then the only thing that saved this gentleman is when he went back for the I think 4th or 5th session of chemo, he was told, this one is going to take a toll on this child. I think he should just be managed symptomatically. That is the only reason why he got better. Because after being managed for symptoms, just give him painkillers, give him drugs to add blood, change the diets here and there. That's how it changed his life. And then later on, I think when he got to about 16 there, they went back to the doctor because he had gotten better. The hair was even coming back and all that. And he went back. And when they ran the tests, they actually said it was a misdiagnosis. And that the doctor who actually diagnosed him of cancer was not there. He was dead. So he died about a year or so. Now the ones who are there, the new ones, are saying this was a misdiagnosis. It wasn't supposed to be that way. Me and my thinking. So now, 4 years down the line, you're telling us it was a misdiagnosis. But this guy was stopped because the chemo was taking a toll on him. Me and my thinking, I'm like, where? So the same questions that I kept on asking in Mombasa were constantly destroying my head. That time I wasn't even in Mombasa. That time I was not even working there. But I was expecting I'll work in such a cancer center in future. Because those days I used to believe in the future. If you attend my Identity Fridays, we don't focus on the future. Anyway, let's continue. So in your body, we have 3 types of things. We have 3 types of things that are called genes. These are genes that are actually responsible for cancer and cell development and growth. Number 1, we have something that is called proto-oncogenes. Now, when you hear the word onco, know that is cancer. So if you hear oncogenes, know there are genes that actually cause cancer. So we have proto-oncogenes. Now these are genes that regulate normal cell growth. But the proto-oncogenes, from the word proto, they cannot cause the cancer. So they're the ones that actually regulate normal cell growth. However, remove the word proto, you remain with oncogenes. Those are cancer causing. Now, what causes the removal or the drop of that name proto? Diets, 85%, cigarette smoking, alcohol, medications, inflammation. All these are going to actually cause mutations that will actually convert these proto-oncogenes into active oncogenes. That is cancer. So mutations turn proto-oncogenes into the overreacting form of the same proto-oncogenes that is actually called now oncogenes. So we move from proto to the oncogenes. Now we have cancer. That tells you, all of us, we have abilities to have the cancer genes. We have the ability. We all have proto-oncogenes. But now, us converting the proto-oncogenes to active oncogenes is where the difference comes in. This is where the people who are fasting actually survive, because they produce new stem cells that give them new proto-oncogenes, and their system is stabilized. This is when you drop the inflammatory foods, your proto-oncogenes will remain to be proto-oncogenes, and they will not overreact into oncogenes. Does your doctor know that? Amazing. Number 2, we have something that is called tumor suppressor genes. Understand the word tumor suppressor genes. We said tumors, benign, malignant. So tumor suppressor genes, their role is to suppress the growing tumors. So your body is designed perfectly to actually help you recover, if at all your system is misbehaving. So you must support it. And as you join the live, thank you so much for those who are sharing the live. Thank you so much for those who are liking the live. That is a sign of no meanness. We appreciate that, because once you do that, it gets to reach more people. You're here for a reason. You're not here to sit here, just write notes and come out and just go and drink alcohol and soda. You're here to actually share the live so that other people get the same information that you get, specifically people on TikTok. These lives just happen once and we are gone, unless they go to YouTube. And if you're on TikTok and you've never subscribed on my YouTube channel, it's called Health and Wellness Sport. That is the home of healthcare. And these lives come to you on Monday, on Wednesday, and Fridays at 8:30 p.m. Kenyan time. So information is power. Get it. Once you get it, you're good to go. Good. So tumor suppressor genes, their role is to actually maintain or actually suppress the overreacting or the growing tumors. So this is part of actually the immune system. And also the another role is to actually trigger cell death. So they trigger apoptosis. You remember? They trigger natural cell death. That tells you, if there are cells that are actually overreacting, they'll be shown, hey, you know what? Please, it's time for you to die. And then they die, and now cancer disappears. So therefore, we have abilities to actually have cancer, but our system is designed perfectly to actually protect us from that. Number 3, we have something that is called DNA repair genes. The DNA repair genes, from just the name DNA repair, what they do is they come and destroy those genes or that DNA that is actually mutated, that is actually causing you problems. Because remember, when the DNA is messed up, now we cannot regulate the cells through the cell cycle. So they evade the cell cycle, and now we've lowered our immune system because we don't have even the tumor suppressor genes, because they're overwhelmed with inflammation, sugars, seed oils, and wheat products. You've lowered the immune system. The tumor suppressor cells are going down. Now you have these cells that are rapidly multiplying because they are turning from proto-oncogenes to oncogenes. Now you activate the rapid multiplication of cells and division of cells. You are in trouble. You are in trouble because the DNA repair genes, their role is to actually instruct the destruction of the already mutated genes that are causing problems. So you see, your body is totally so safe. This body is designed perfectly. There's nothing from outside that can actually fix your internal world. Imagine that. So you have proto-oncogenes, you have tumor suppressor genes, and then you have the DNA repair genes. All of them working in your favor. Tumeelewa mpaka hapo. Now, on that note, allow me to market my platforms. We've done about 45 minutes. Let me just market my platforms. 1, I have a health channel on YouTube called Health and Wellness Sport. Of course, there are 2. There's another one called HAWS, H-A-W-S, with Dr. Lewis. That's a mini branch of HAWS. So please go on YouTube, just take a minute, go on YouTube and subscribe on Health and Wellness Spot on YouTube. You will never regret, because that's a channel that actually pushes information in your head for free. Number 2, we have a Telegram platform that is called Health and Wellness Spot. A Telegram platform called Health and Wellness Spot. So go on Telegram. If you've never downloaded the app for Telegram, go on Telegram and download Health and Wellness Spot on Telegram. And then look for Health and Wellness Spot and join that group, because that's a group of people or individuals who are intentionally talking about health. They will help you unlearn things. They will help you learn new things. They will challenge your mindset, and you will even be allowed to share information there. Okay, you will ask questions, they'll be answered. So go on Telegram and do that. On Facebook, I have a platform that is called Lewis Muchile. It's about 80,000 followers. Go there and join the platform. Because when you have these massive numbers on all these platforms, even if one is taken down, we are safe. That is what we do. So even if one of them is pulled down, we are safe. So therefore, you can't allow yourself to actually miss the information on these platforms. That's why we communicate. Now, we have both the physical and online consultations that go on every single evening. So the online consultations, we do them over the phone. They happen every evening. We also have physical consultations that happen in Nairobi every end of the month. So you can actually book your appointments through the contact that I always provide on my platforms, which is 0707074722. That is a number that you can actually embrace and use that to book your appointments. Kindly use WhatsApp to texts, because you will call, it will not go through, because those people who are actually being involved, or the person who is being involved in bookings, is currently outside the countries in the United States. So kindly use WhatsApp so that you can actually get your response. Because most of you will go there and then you call, it doesn't go through, you come back and tell me, doctor, it's not going through. I'm like, yes, it's not going through, because I told you already. Good. Then we have merchandise that we are selling. Our pickup point is in Nairobi, CBD, 𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗏 House. Shop number 60, it is on the second floor of 𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗏 House. The entrance is opposite Beba stores. We also have a consultation offices that have these things. So you need to actually buy those things and let them just help you. The fermented cabbages, the roasted and grounded coffee. We also have the sheep tallow. You can actually purchase them and then just change your life for the better. And I've seen, we've inspired a lot of people nowadays. Making fermented cabbage has become fun to everybody. Every household is actually making fermented cabbage, and that's what we live for, right? Fix the gut all through. Good. Having understood that, let us continue with the topic of the night. Cancer. Cancer. So now, what is the difference between your cells and the cancer cells? Because you will wonder, where is this cancer coming from? What are these cancer cells? We've said it's a group of conditions, so we can't even go into much details about that. But we can actually tell you the difference between a cancer cell and a normal cell. Of course, the mutations are there, right? Of course, the abnormal multiplication is there. You can easily know that. But what is the difference between cancer cells and the normal cells? Number 1, uncontrolled proliferation. The word proliferation is just an English word, a big word to confuse you. It basically means multiplication. So because they are evading the cell cycle, they are evading mechanisms that control their division and their growth, they will multiply abnormally. That is what we call controlled proliferation. And as they multiply abnormally, they're actually doing that for them to survive. They know if they don't multiply rapidly, the immune system will destroy them. So they are doing that intentionally to actually make sure that the immune system is unable to destroy them. And if it does, it will still leave others multiplying rapidly, and they will be spreading. So the immune system will be overwhelmed. Now it'll give up. Number 2, they are resistant to cell death, apoptosis. So they evade mechanisms for even the tumor suppressor genes. They evade that mechanism. Therefore, they cannot die. Other cells have to reach a point, they are mature, they have to die, so that we get new cells from the new stem cells. And this is where fasting comes in handy, because fasting helps you produce new stem cells. And now you have new cells. Now you have new genes. You have new DNA being restored every time. So fasting is very important. So as you complain and you say, oh, you know what, if I fast, I will die. Okay, wait, you will die for not fasting actually. You will die and we will celebrate you. We will say, oh, you know what, death will one day die just because you did not fast. So start fasting. Even a 24-hour fast, even a 16-8 is a fast. Just have discipline for diets. Number 3, there's something called angiogenesis. And again, that's a very huge term. You're like, angiogenesis, daktari, angiogenesis. Angiogenesis means that you see cancer cells are special in a way that they can actually make their own blood vessels to supply them with nutrients and oxygen. So even if you try to block their supply, like for example a tumor, you try to block supply of oxygen and nutrients, it will form its own blood cells and tap into your blood system to actually get the nutrients and oxygen. And remember, these cells are rapidly multiplying, but one thing that you should know, cancer cells don't like oxygen. So they pick a very small amount of oxygen to utilize it, but they need nutrients more. So they like a place where there's low oxygen levels. And this tells you, for you who don't even do a morning run, to actually activate your lungs to give you more oxygen, problems. For you who constantly consume sugars that hold on to the red blood cells, therefore there's no adequate supply of oxygen in the system, because red blood cells are the ones that supply oxygen throughout the system, problems. So sugar is becoming another problem here because it limits supply of oxygen to tissues. So angiogenesis. So cancer cells are so good that they will actually make their own blood cells. But this is a concept that happens all over our bodies, our brains. So before you get a stroke, you've actually fed yourself so adequately to get a stroke. Because if the blood vessels that supply the brain start to block, the brain has a way of just forming new blood vessels that will actually they will skip the other blocked blood vessels, and you have supply of oxygen to the brain. So before it dies, you've actually done a good job. You've actually ate yourself that sugar. And no wonder some of these conditions are considered diseases for the elderly. The same happens to the heart. If the coronary blood vessels are blocking, the heart has to form a way through angiogenesis to give you new blood vessels to supply the same heart muscle. So by the time you're getting a heart attack, you've worked so hard in your kitchen. Oh, mekula, my friend. Number 4, inversion. Sorry. What is happening to TikTok? Let me just make this up and then we continue. So number 4, we have inversion and metastasis. Now remember when you said about malignant, sindio? Which tusema side moja ni benign, side ingine ni malignant. The malignant tukasema they are divided into 2 according to the places that they spread through. One is through blood, we call them the sarcomas, and one is through the lymph, we call them what? Iko mtu uko backbench amelala. So that spread is what we call metastasis. Metastasis. So cancer is metastatic, means it moves from one tissue or one organ towards the other to destroy it. And it moves through 2 things. One is through the blood and one is through the lymphatic system. Good. This one, Maki has actually done a good job. Yes, it's called a carcinoma. So carcinoma and sarcoma. I see. There are people who are actually concentrating. Now, so inversion and metastasis, which means cancer cells, unlike other cells, the normal cells, they will not spread to other tissues. They will differentiate and do their work as planned. They will go to the eye, they'll differentiate into a foot or something else. But the cancer cells, they don't differentiate in that manner. What they do is just they multiply rapidly and then they spread, and their intention is to actually, and cancer is very stupid because it goes and spreads into the organs to destroy the same organs, and it still wants to survive. So when you die, cancer dies. So is it not a stupid mechanism anyway? But anyway, that's another day story. Number 5, cancer cells are so prone to avoiding or evading your immune system and mechanisms. So 1, they avoid the cellular mechanisms, the cell cycle regulation mechanisms, that is uncontrolled proliferation. And then now after, they have to actually avoid or evade the tumor suppressor genes and the immune system that actually suppresses them and destroys them. So they are so clear. That's why they are multiplying rapidly to overwhelm the immune system. And the last one, they have multiple DNAs. They keep on mutating every single time so that they can actually continuously evade the immune system. And that is what we call genomic instability. So 5 characteristics of cancer cells for the students. Oh, if you do this, you're good to go. Because this is a question that you'll expect. 1, uncontrolled multiplication or proliferation. Number 2, resistance to cell death. Number 3, angiogenesis. Number 4, inversion and metastasis. Number 5, evasion of the immune system. And number 6, genomic instability. Have I not explained it in the best way possible? And don't worry, we will still make this video, we'll cut it down and forward it to you. The characteristics of cancer cells in comparison to the normal cells. Now you have your answers. Now you don't need to panic about the examination. Amazing, right? Amazing conversation there. Amazing. How can you miss on conversations on the health and wellness spot? How? How can you even ask, are you a doctor? Utaanzia wapi? Unatoa wapi nguvu? Are you a I'm like, do I need to have to be a doctor to actually put some sense in your head? You see now? Amazing. Watching you, Daktari from Zambia, Kopala Belt, Kitwe, Humphrey Chama. Zambia is in the building. Zambia is the only country in Africa that its currency is super high as compared to that currency of the US. Yeah. Anyway, let's continue. Now the diagnosis. So already we've talked about what cancer is. Already we've talked about the characteristics of cancer cells. Already we've talked about the genes. Now we are talking about diagnosis. And then we'll talk briefly about the treatment, because I don't want to focus on the treatment as much. But we will go straight to talk about something else apart from the treatment. And I hope through that you can actually understand where I'm coming from. Because I want to talk to you about how pesticides, how the arsenic, the tampons, how are they related to causing cancer, when I'll be talking lastly about the risk factors or the causes of cancer. Who is this? 𝗘𝗫𝗥𝗜𝗥, you once joined my live, Daktari. Thanks so much. Carl, bro, it's not once. I've joined your live multiple times. And why? Because you inspire me with your push-ups, my friend. Yeah, you inspire this gentleman. Guys, 𝗘𝗫𝗥𝗜𝗥. This is a gentleman who does a live and does 2,000 push-ups as you watch. Bro, you inspire us. Shout out to you, bro. Hiyo uliweza. I'm looking at you, I'm like, hey, and I thought here with my 100 push-ups in the morning, I'm doing great. Yeah. You, and there's another guy called who? This guy who is a soldier, who does crazy things and gives people challenges. Called, this guy from the coast, 𝗕𝗫𝗣𝗟𝗏. Me, I'm a follower of great content, natural stuff. Bro, I enjoy these types of content. I don't enjoy content where people are selling supplements. No way. I don't enjoy content where somebody's coming in to flex to show you that they have. No, I enjoy people doing things. We see them doing them, we know, this is the way to go. So congratulations, Carl, bro. I appreciate you. And keep doing what you're doing, because, yes, you're inspiring a lot of people. Amazing. So diagnosis. You know very well the diagnosis of cancer. You will be taken for x-rays. These are radiations. And these radiations are going to cause more problems. There was a time I said that women who don't have cancer, the more they go for the checkups, the mammography all the time, they're exposing themselves to the radiations, the more they increase their risks of getting breast cancers. And you came after me guns blazing. I was like, I understand you, because you have no identity. You are not part of the system. You will not understand what is happening in the system. I knew it. And I knew I'll hit you one day with this. So the more you go for the mammography, just look at yourself putting your breast there and being radiated. What do you think those radiations are going to cause? They are high intensity radiations that actually affect the cells. They cause mutations. Somebody is asking a very genuine question. This is Desmond. Doc, what of these vaccines? Leave alone the cow vaccines, bro. The vaccines themselves, and when I'll be talking about HPV vaccines in the prevention of cervical cancer, you will see what I'm talking about. So these vaccines that are being given to your livestock that are actually going to affect the mRNA of the livestock, you eat that meat, you have mutations, problems. And of course, that gentleman with the pot belly will be sitting there dictating the new guidelines for you treating your cancer that he actually brought. Allow our president to call us stupid because you're asking serious questions. Somebody is asking, so is the mammography good? Now, you see, these are the people that I actually talk about. They hear, they listen to respond. They don't listen to understand. They're just quick to type a comment because they want to be heard. You must listen to understand. We've just said the more you expose yourself to mammography, the worse your case. So unless you already have issues with your breast and now you have to do a diagnosis at that moment in time. But there are these people who will constantly go for a checkup every year. Oh, you know what? I just palpated my breast and I'm thinking I have a tumor. Umeweka matiti kwa kitu. Radiation. Radiation. I wish you had that BD when you're breastfeeding. I wish you had the same effort during breastfeeding. You are so afraid of the cancers because you've been sold the fear successfully. Anyway, so the diagnosis, of course, lab tests are going to come in handy. Of course, gene testings are going to come in handy. The biopsies are going to come in. The radiations and x-rays, the MRIs, the CT scans are going to come in handy. Remember, these diagnostics are not there to actually make you buy the fear. They're not even there for you to keep on going there to do the CT scan and all this just because you can afford it. Just because your company is giving you a health insurance and now you want to just utilize it. So you do a test every year. And this is also going to those people who have diabetes and have hypertension. Every time you're busy taking a blood pressure test, every time taking a blood pressure test, you go and take 2 shots of alcohol, you're taking a blood pressure test to see what is happening. You eat sugar, the next 10 minutes you're taking a blood sugar test to see, oh, yeah, am I safe? When you find your blood sugars are low, you are running to eat more sugar. When you find they are high, you are running to take metformin. So if you have been diagnosed with diabetes or hypertension, sit back, do what you have to do. The job is in your kitchen. The job is not in you taking a blood pressure and blood sugar test every single day. A blood pressure test of 2 days in a week is enough for you. Mondays and Saturdays is enough. Just get the average and keep fixing the kitchen. But you've just started eating healthy today. I'm looking at pressure bado ziko juu. Daktari, my pressures are still up. Of course they are up. You didn't get pressures in one night. You will not lose them in one night. Kila saa siku hizi mpaka imekuwa fun. Every household has a blood sugar test machine, has a blood pressure test machine. We call them digital, but it doesn't have the tallow. It has seed oils. And then you are there, I eat 1 meal a day. 1 meal that has been deep fried in all these things. You've snacked the whole day. You're taking a blood sugar test, is still up. You're running to tell me, Doc, I was asking, I saw your video on TikTok saying, I was asking, no, you did not see my video. You're not my follower. You're not. You just bumped into one of my videos and you think I can help you. Book an appointment. And all of you know I have done justice. I've talked about most chronic conditions. I've done justice. So by the time you're picking that number from the internet coming to call me, my friend, alafu unaanza kusema, daktari anakaa hash. This doctor is hash. Hash. About hash. I just put you where you belong. Because you don't have an identity. You like using people. Hey, Wakenya. Hey, Kenyans like using people. That's why I told you that on Friday, during Identity Fridays, that I understand that most of you follow me because I give you value. I give you value. You don't follow me for no good reason. You follow me because I give value. If I stop giving value, I stop to exist. And that's how a man's life is. We're constantly cycling. We are constantly developing and changing and evolving and becoming better and providing value. So if I don't provide value, I'm supposed to go extinct. Mtakuwa mnasema, kulikuwa na daktari fulani hapa online alikuwa controversial. Hi Doc, I love the live. How about breast ultrasound? Breast ultrasound has no radiations. That one is safe. But you see, you're again going to use an ultrasound as a diagnostic technique. You're not going to use an ultrasound for fun. Diagnostic techniques. So if you are having a problem already and then you have to go through this diagnosis, well done. But if you're just going there for fun, be careful. Now, back to treatment. Ni controversial. There are even your doctors who are actually warning you against what I say. Achana huyo daktari ni controversial. They are so quick to actually shun what you're saying. You're telling them, by the way, I was looking at Dr. Lewi's video and he said this. What do you think about it? Achana huyo daktari ni controversial. Sasa hiyo daktari wako amelea tumbo kwa mapaja. Very fat, breathing like a pig. Shallow breathing. Daktari. Huwezi ona daktari hata Lewis hata video moja. That was a very controversial one. Then pulls a drawer and pops a pill. Hachana And then once you leave, he goes to the balcony, smokes cigarette because alikuwa ashakasirika. Do you know how smokers get angry for no good reason? And until they puff, you can even shake. Toka hapa, unaongea Dr. Lewis hapa kwa nini? Get out. Huyu daktari anakuambia aje ati pressure iko reversible, na nimekuwa nikikupatia dawa za pressure for 20 years hujapona. Sasa amekuambia ukule chakula healthy na unataka kufuata hiyo because you think and then he becomes angry. So you think I'm doing this for fun, are you a doctor? Now you become the patient instantly. Oh, wewe ndo mgonjwa, mimi ndo daktari. Sikiza. Hiyo uoga tumetoa. We are out of fear. My friends, ask questions. Let him boil and let the tummy burst. Muulize maswali daktari. Hii health wewe, kwani hii obesity ni nini? Daktari, why am I taking drugs for a lifetime that they are not changing anything? Ask questions. That's what they say, Dr. Tonics. Hata wewe DJ, sorry. They say that. Huyo ni content creator. I'm like, okay. Huyo ni content creator, achana anatafuta views. Mnajua channels zinatafuta views kwa mambo ya health. Mimi ningekuwa natafuta views ningekuwa nilikufa kitambo. You guys are mean with views. If I was looking for views, sasa ningekuwa extinct. So I'm here to share the information. Whether you view it or you don't view it, I'll do it. Because when I was starting the platforms, I was starting them because I wanted to just know how far I can go with this. And in terms of my own content, I just come here and watch them and smile as I grow older. And then look at us now. How many people on TikTok? If you've not followed us on TikTok, you're wasting time. 248 or something. By the time we'll be done, it will be 250, I believe so. Look at YouTube, 34.3 thousand already. Look at Facebook, 80,000 people. And then you're thinking, don't you think you're the only one who is being left behind? With your anger. Umekasirika, I can't follow this one. No. You're here, you're watching, you can't follow. Because the evil nature in you cannot allow you to actually just press that button to follow. No. I mean, nimfanya afike 250. I only have 2 followers. He can't follow me, so I can't follow him. I'm like, okay, I mean, as long as you're here watching the content, karibu sana. We will fix your identity one day and you'll become our ardent supporter. You will even spread this information for free out there. Okay? So yes, let's keep going. Now, treatments. I have talked about this multiple times, that anytime you walk into the system and you've been diagnosed with cancer, the 3 options that starts is surgery, and then radiation, and then chemotherapy. Now, they realize these 3 are not working. They pumped in something called immunotherapy, where they're using these immunoglobulins and things that are supposed to boost your immunity. So imagine this, that you eat foods that actually lower your immunity, and then you go to hospital, and then you get a diagnosis of cancer, and then they give you immunotherapy to boost your immunity. Who said that? If the vaccines failed in boosting the immune system, I got TB and I had a vaccine for TB. It's here, I think so, on my left hand. Yes, everybody has that BCG thing. But I still got TB, and then I was told, when I asked that question, I was told, sometimes it fades up down the system. You go to Moyale where people are, they have a lot of TB and theirs is resistant, so you got the TB. My friend, I took those drugs for 6 months. I was like, wah. Hey, Tawe. It's not easy to take medication. Nobody was designed to take medication for a lifetime. So surgery, number 1. But surgery does good on tumors. Surgery does very well on tumors. Okay? So when you have a tumor, the benign ones, remember? The benign ones, you can actually remove them with surgery. If the immune system is now unable to handle them, you can actually do a surgery. Some of them you can do a radiation to shrink them, then do a surgery. But the interesting part is this. If you do a radiation, you're actually exerting high intensity of radiation at a specific center. So you expect, because radiation is not specific to the cancer cells, of course, it will target more of the cancer cells because they are rapidly multiplying. But it will also target your cells around that cancer, around that tumor. And now radiation is capable of actually initiating more mutations in those cells around that tumor. So of course, we're expecting another radiation or another chemotherapy session, right? So therefore, cancer is easily preventable than you think you're going to treat it. It's easy to prevent it because every single thing, you've said diagnostics, expose you to more cancer. We've gone to radiation, exposing you more to cancer. Now chemotherapy is coming in, and number 1 side effect of chemo is actually causing cancer. That's why pharmacists will wear this protective gear before they even mix that chemo. And then as they're doing that, the same nurse who is supposed to put it into your vein is wearing gloves and protective gear and carrying it on a tray, and then comes and pumps it into your bloodstream. And immediately gets into your bloodstream, you're vomiting. So you need another drug that is called ondansetron to prevent you from vomiting. Now you're losing electrolytes. You'll now need electrolyte replacement. More money, right? So if you think insurance is enough to actually help you treat cancer, you'll clear up that insurance, you'll again go back, and now you'll have to dig deeper into your pocket. And it's unfortunate that most people who have cancer, they die after they have drained their family's resources. You drain them resources. Wanauza shamba, wanakuja. Wanafanya nini, wanakuja. By the time you're dying, the system has taken a lot from you. So prevent it. You will save a lot of money. You will thank me later. So radiation, surgery, and now chemotherapy. Now I told you chemotherapy targets rapidly multiplying cells. So the cancer cells are rapidly multiplying. That's why we are targeting the rapidly multiplying cells. But the side effects of chemo, they will come to, again, your cells that are rapidly multiplying. And what cells in your body do you think are rapidly multiplying? So that we can actually compare the side effects of chemo to this talk that we are having. So which cells in your body do you think are multiplying rapidly? Now I want you to mention just one side effect that you know of chemotherapy. So I'll tell you which cells it's targeting. Let's go. Just mention one side effects of chemo: hair and nail loss. Yes, hair and nail loss, because hair is part and the nails are part of the skin, and the skin cells are rapidly multiplying and shedding off. The turnover is very high. Blood cells. Which blood cells? Red blood cells. A turnover of 120 days. The immune cells coming from the bone marrow, because the cancer chemotherapy targets the bone marrow cells and suppresses them. Most of you know the hair loss. Yes, hair loss is part of the skin. So that's the most one. Nausea, because immediately you inject, they stimulate the chemoreceptor trigger zone in the head. Vomiting comes in. Anemia, because they suppress the bone marrow. The bone marrow cells are rapidly multiplying. Digestive issues, yes, ulcers of the mouth and ulcers of the gut. Why? Because these are epithelial cells. They are rapidly multiplying. That's why when you bite yourself today, the next minute you're healing already. Turning black around the eyes, that's part of the skin again. Diarrhea is just a normal side effect for all medications. Is part of them. Neuropathy, because again, neuropathy is not specifically for the chemotherapy agents, but again, this can come actually as a result of diabetes, because most people who are diagnosed with cancer have diabetes already. So they had the neuropathy, but it was not just outbursting, okay? Add weight, most of them lose weight. Most of them lose weight, trust me, Sonny Big. Most of them lose weight. If they end up adding weight, it's because of the supplements that they're being given. Infertility, perfect one. That's another one, because the gonad cells are actually rapidly multiplying. So we are doing a turnover of ovum cells. We are turning over the sperm cells and all that. And the gonads are rapidly multiplying. That's why they suppress the gonads. And that's why you're told, please, if you've not had children, this can be a problem to you. Headaches, another side effect that is general for all drugs. So headaches, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. Side effects of most of the drugs. Neutropenia, yes. Fatigue, yes. Fatigue is coming in because you're having anemia. Neutropenia is coming in because you're suppressing the bone marrow. Loss of appetite, that's going to go because of the vomiting. And then you're now given ondansetron and more supplements to actually help you survive. What else? Coughing. No, coughing is a different side effect. Nausea, a very normal one for every drug, but this one's called severe nausea. Low white blood cells count, yes, because you're suppressing the bone marrow. If you're young, you expect the bones to become very, very delicate because they're actually turning over. Weak joints, yes, the bone end of the joint is turning over. That's a problem. Chemotherapy destroys those osteoclasts. Are they called osteoclasts? Nyinyi mnajua mambo mengi. Osteoporosis can actually come more in women who are actually receiving chemotherapy. Why? Because they have high estrogen levels also, and some of them are given estrogen replacement therapy, and that is actually coming in to actually weaken the bones. Oof. Pain is because of the cancer itself. Nyinyi watu ni wajanja. Kumbe mnajua hizi vitu ni kupretend, mna pretend. You guys know these things. So all the side effects that are coming as a cancer, you just go and look at the 7 major side effects of cancer. You will see they're actually associated with rapidly multiplying tissues and cells in the system. You will understand it clearly. So therefore, do you want to go that lane? Imagine, how did you even guys forget to mention low immunity? Low immunity, suppression of the bone marrow, destruction of the liver and the kidneys, going to give you low immunity. And also, how did you fail to mention malnutrition? Because some of them who are losing weight is because these ulcers that are forming in the gut, you are now unable to absorb nutrients in the adequate amount. Now you go into malnutrition. Bruising and bleeding, yes, because the skin and the mouth, all those ulcerations. So bruising and bleeding coming in as a result of this, and also affecting the liver. When you affect the liver, you're affecting the clotting factors, problems. Also, you're not able to absorb the fat-soluble vitamins from the gut because it's ulcerated. So when you're unable to absorb vitamin K, clotting becomes a problem, right? You see the relationships? It is easy to see these things. Ni rahisi. Inadequate blood quantity, yes, because of the bone marrow suppression. Cognitive issues, yes, because of the brain damage. But the brain is being affected later on. Okay? You guys are the best audience ever. Emotional and psychological issues. Now, those ones are not side effects, but these ones are actually the downfall of this, because once you've diagnosed with cancer, of course, fear comes in. The problem comes in now, you're so emotionally stressed, and now you raise your stress levels. Problems again, because when you raise your stress levels, you raise cortisol, blood sugar goes up, more cancer. And then psychological and financial burden. Nyinyi watu mnajua vitu mingi bwana. Mimi hata I think I should end this live. All of you are so educated. It's time for us to close the live, right? We've done 1 hour 17 minutes. Can we close it? Nyinyi mnajua mingi bwana. Nyinyi ni madaktari. I can't even doubt it, my friends. You are doctors and you deserve an award. So we will not wait for the government to give you that title, doctor. You are one. So don't be shy, okay? Anyway, so the risk factors. Now, this is where we're going to talk about the pesticides. We're going to talk about arsenic, the lead, the heavy metals, and all that. So the risk factors for cancer. Are you ready? Are you ready for the risk factors? Let's give you some time to just soak in. Take a glass of water, relax, and now we can actually finish it up on a high note. And then we bring in some 2 calls, and then we call it a night. We will be here again on Wednesday. Tomorrow we're not doing a testimonial Tuesday. We'll do it on next week on Tuesday. So we'll be here on Wednesday night, so that you can actually bring us your testimonies loaded on Tuesday next week. Good. People are ready for the risk factors. Risk factor number 1, the obvious one. People tell you genetics. Genes. I've constantly told you that genes cause only 2 to 10% of the roles in conditions. And we've already talked about the genes that are actually here to help you survive. So even if genes are causing you problems, the same genes, we have genes that are actually going to fix the problem. So please, doctors, oncologists, stop telling us about the genes now. Because you're making us think that genes are so bad. Yet we have these 3 types of genes that actually suppress the cancer. So let's focus on the real cases. Let's not focus on what is 2 to 10%. Okay? So even that one, watch at work account. Number 1, predisposing factor number 1, genes and genetic predisposition. Hey, kizungu, lusungu. Predisposition. Number 2, lifestyle, which is the largest, plus environmental factors. So somebody has just mentioned sugar, and we are going to that sugar right now. So lifestyle. Number 1 on the lifestyle is smoking cigarettes. Cigarette smoking is involved in 95% of mutations and 98% of health conditions. So if you're a smoker, problems. If you're somebody who consumes shisha, problems. If you're somebody who actually thinks that because you're taking the nicotine tablets, you are safer than somebody who smokes, problems. If you're somebody who uses the patch to actually help you wean off the addiction to cigarettes, problems. Nicotine in any form, whether vaping, whether smoking cigarettes, whether using nicotine patches or using nicotine tablets or chewing gum, you have to stop. Find a way to stop it. Number 2, alcohol. One of the most useless products on this surface of the earth. It was designed to be used as an anesthetic agent, and also to so that you can actually use it for surgery. But now people are using it for recreational purposes, and then you end up getting physical and emotional and physical and physiological dependence, and now you become an addict. And I think most people who drink alcohol don't like drinking alcohol. They don't. They are using alcohol to shed off their life failings. Now listen, most doctors drink alcohol and they are drunkards. The reason why they are drunkards is not because they like alcohol. No. They became addicts because, one, lack of identity, and number two, because they failed totally in their field to actually change lives of people. They thought when they were getting into this course, they will change lives of people. And then they come out here, they're chasing money all the time. They'll never get satisfied. And then they are struggling to fit in the society. Because when you're called a doctor, how can you walk on your feet? How can you even walk barefoot? There's a type of car that is being actually, you need to drive. Your children have to be in a specific school. You have to have a certain type of office. So these are the pressures that are actually coming to doctors. And because the salary of a doctor, even that extra thing that you're doing as a doctor, is not enough to keep you on a place equivalent to people who are actually doing trading. If at all there's something called trading. To those people who are doing money laundering, to politicians who are looting resources, it is not possible. So therefore, for you to actually fit in, you have to do things that are crazy. But now, once you realize you cannot fit into that societal construct, and now you have to actually make sure that you're actually struggling. So for you to actually avoid that burden of failure, because they're looking at you thinking, Doctor, why are your children in public school? Why is this happening? So for you to actually do that, you get into alcoholism. So that people will say, alikuwa daktari mzuri, pombe iliharibu daktari. This was the best doctor, but alcohol. So you were looking for a scapegoat for your problems, for your failures in life. So that people will not judge. Imagine you're at 60, you've never made it anyway. You're stealing from people through the money that you're taking from these people, the drugs that you're selling to them that don't even help. You're stealing from them, and you're a doctor. You're supposed to change their lives, but you're making them more sick so that they can actually come back and feed your ego. And now you have to go into alcoholism because God now alali. You go into alcoholism and now you're going there, you're actually trying to look for something to actually blame. Mi nilikuwa mbaya. I was that doctor, my friend. Kama si pombe. Kama si pombe. But there are people, that alcohol has been there. There was a time Guinness was sold 3 shillings in the 1950s. Now I think it's 350, still the same alcohol. People are changing. They have come, they have died, they have left the Guinness there. So who told you you're the one who will change the lives of Guinness? Guinness will change your life, it will kill you. Number 3, right? So smoking, alcohol, and then some of us, actually most of us, nowadays we sit in houses that have ACs, that have fans. We don't have exposure to light. And remember, part of our immune system is vitamin D. So the doctors have made us to hate cholesterol. We don't eat cholesterol. Yet vitamin D comes from cholesterol. That's a raw material for vitamin D. And vitamin D is our immune system. So you don't eat cholesterol. You take drugs to lower cholesterol. You lower vitamin D. Your immune system goes down. Now you're antibiotics after antibiotics after antibiotics. Vaccines after vaccines after vaccines. Because of the mistake that you're doing with those statins. Eat fatty meats. Red meat and white meat. And I know there's people who have told you that red meat is going to cause you colon cancer. They are lying to you. The truth is, it is not red meat that causes colon cancer. They are hiding the food industry because of that gentleman. Processed red meats, sausages, smokies, bacon, canned meats are the ones that are responsible for colon cancer because they have MSG. They have preservatives. But imagine you have dropped red meat, but you still eat sausages for breakfast. No wonder you're still there. Same condition, nothing getting better, but you're not even asking doctors why. Some of you have never eaten meat for the longest period of time, but you've been diagnosed with cancer. Where did you get it from? Stop blaming red meat. Eat meat in plenty, make it fatty. Eat fatty meats. Then most of you are struggling with sleep. Imagine you're in the club the whole weekend drinking alcohol. You come back at 5 in the morning. Before you sleep, you're going again. You've been called to go and ease up the hangover. So you're constantly not even having 6 to 8 hours of sleep. Your system is not even rejuvenating. Your system is not even resetting. And then to add on that, you're eating every single time. You're eating after 2 hours. Before you digest your food, you're feeding the stomach. You're using the inflammatory foods, seed oils, wheat, and sugars. All of them inflaming your system so highly. And then you're wondering, how am I even getting this? Why is cancer in my genes? Well, cancer will one day die. You will die, and cancer will still be here. It's not going anywhere. It has been here. So inflammatory foods, lack of sunlight exposure, alcohol, smoking, sedentarism, dehydration, because people just drink water for the sake of it. Add salt in your drinking water for hydration purposes. No sleep, problems. So all these things are coming in handy to actually make sure that you are getting the cancer. So therefore, change that lifestyle. It's easy. Change it. Now, on the inflammatory foods, we have 3 that are most common. sugar in all forms, including those fruits, honey, and processed carbohydrates. Number 2, somebody saying, the doctor said meat causes fibroids. The doctor is supposed to be fired. Wheat and processed wheat products. So if you're eating cake, you've actually eaten a combination of 2 different inflammatory foods. Actually 3. Margarine plus sugar plus wheat. Umekula keki. Na mmekata hiyo keki during the Cancer Awareness Week. Mnakata keki Monday to Friday, mna celebrate na keki. So, sugar, wheat, and seed oils. The vegetable oils that are in the kitchen. Those ones in yellow containers. Those ones that are liquid that you think they're the best. They are causing you inflammation in the system. But look at it this way. We started by saying cancer spreads so fast through inflamed tissues. So as you're eating inflammatory foods, you're actually encouraging cancer to spread. But the same inflammatory foods are encouraging mutations in the mitochondria. So you encourage mutations, you encourage these cells to evade the cell cycle, you encourage them to come out, you lower your immunity through these same foods, so these cells will multiply rapidly, and then you cause inflammation, you actually help them spread through the lymphatic system and the bloodstream. So how dangerous are inflammatory foods to anybody who has been diagnosed with cancer? How dangerous are they? They are super dangerous because they induce mutations, they help the cells evade the cell cycle, they suppress your immunity, therefore those cells that are evading the cell cycle will not be destroyed. And then they will help them multiply rapidly because the immune system is going down. And then they will cause inflammation, so therefore these cells are actually going to spread even faster and they will destroy you. Number 2, cancer has 2 sources of energy. One is glutamate. Glutamate is an amino acid that is present in all foods. But there's a dangerous glutamate, because remember there's a D and an L one. So there's a dangerous one that is actually found in that pizza, found in that chicken that you eat that is crunchy, found in these cubes that you add in vegetables to taste like meat, found in most processed foods. It is called MSG, monosodium glutamate. You hear the word glutamate there? MSG is monosodium glutamate. That is a dangerous thing to your system entirely. Gut mess, brain problems, because these children who are actually coming out with all these autism, all these mental health conditions, MSG. So as you're using those processed spices, as you're using that, there is this meat that you people, this meat, let me put that in quotes, this processed meat that you just, it starts with an S and ends with an I. You know it? MSG is in the spaghettis and the noodles that you feed your children. I want you to tell me that name of that in the comment section. There's this meat that starts with an S and ends with an I. Has a lot of S's in between there. And you feed your children that thing. There are these noodles that you don't need to cook. So you have become so lazy that you just take the noodles and soak them in warm water and you have food. That is not food. That's a product that has MSG. Read the ingredients. Sausages have MSG, yes. So you feed your child with bread, which is wheat plus sugar. On top of it, you have put margarine or that, what do you call it? Is red thing that you apply on bread. What is the name of that red thing that you people apply on bread? What is it? This red thing. And then on top of it, they have drawn tomatoes so that you can actually think that this one has tomatoes. Kumbe mnajua. Na ziko kwa nini zenu. I see your influencers opening up a refrigerator to just add those things in the refrigerator. I'm like, this one, it's a matter of time. Nyinyi mnajua hizi vitu bana. So MSG, very dangerous. So do not feed your system. We at least get the natural form of glutamine that's going to help you as an amino acid. But don't use synthetic things. And this also applies to ladies who are using synthetic hormones to fix acne, to fix hormonal imbalances. Those things are not estrogens. They are not natural estrogen. They are estrogens or progestins. They are made in the lab. Somebody has just mentioned ketchup. Thank you for mentioning that. There are these people who come from the West that are consuming canned sardines, canned meats, canned beans, canned foods, and also MSGs added in those high-end restaurants in the soup. Oh, so as you sit there chopping your money, at least chop rice. But as you sit there chopping your money, MSG is being added in your soup to just mask your taste buds so that you don't taste foods in their natural states. And that makes you stay addicted to that food parlor. Canned tuna, anything canned, please read the ingredients. You will see. Sometimes they write it in French, monosodium glutamate or whatever they want to use. Just and if you see codes E250, see whatever, there's a code that you don't understand. Do not take that product. Soy sauce, high estrogen levels. Anyway, let's continue. So that is the number one source of energy for cancer cells. The number two source of cancer cells, number two source of energy for cancer cells is glucose. Now, of course, all cells utilize glucose. But the reason why cells utilize glucose is because we have exposed ourselves to higher content of carbohydrates, and now your cells don't even know any other channel of getting energy. Remember, there's something called gluconeogenesis. Gluconeogenesis is sourcing glucose from non-carbohydrate sources. One, of course, is protein. You can break down proteins to get glucose. So stop telling me carbohydrates are energy-giving foods. You can break down fat to get glucose. It's called gluconeogenesis. You generate glucose from new sources that are not carbohydrates. The one for carbohydrates is called glycolysis. So carbohydrates are not energy-giving foods. That's a strategy to make you hooked on those carbohydrates. So the only reason why our bodies appreciate glucose so much is because we've exposed it to glucose. It has now adapted to just using glucose. And that's a problem. So listen. So glucose is very good. Actually, 90 to 95 to 98% of energy sources for cancer cells is glucose. Glutamine is very low, but glucose. So one strategy of destroying cancer cells is denying them glucose and then supplying them with oxygen because they don't like higher oxygen levels. So when you're doing a morning run, just climbing that hill, high glucose is coming, high oxygen is coming in. There's a lot of nutrients being pumped into the system entirely. You're opening up your blood vessels. Oxygen is being ferried into the tissues. Cancer is dying. But you don't want to wake up and go and run, right? Hautaki kukimbia. Si utadunga Ozempic, si ndio? Iko daktari amesema kuna bariatric surgery. Utaweka balloon. Si uko na $500,000. Balloon. Balloon unaweza afford, si ndio? Wewe huwezi kimbia. I mean, wacha tukufe. Tumeona. Wacha accept us the way we are. We are going for Ozempic. We are going for gastric balloon. We are going for gastric bypass. We are going to do it in India. We will shoot content and upload on our YouTube channel. Guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is me doing bariatric surgery. This is my favorite doctor. Say hi. As many of people say hi. Doctor is saying hi with a mask. He doesn't want to be seen the face because he knows after this surgery there will be complications. He knows. That's why he does the surgery and then forwards you back to Kenya so that you come to Nairobi bariatric surgeons to finish the job that he actually messed in India. Mnafikiria tuwaonangi? Hey, doctor is so effeminate. He's there saying hi. He's actually doing this. Hi, guys. I'm the one who is going to actually cut her stomach because she cannot have the discipline of eating. I'm going to... There's this new one. Nafunga man talking like... you know it, the sleeping wires. I'm going to eat liquid foods, but you know what, guys? You know, I still take juices. The doctor has not told me to drop the juices. I'm just taking juices. Like ugali and porridge are not the same thing, right, guys? So you guys know, ugali and porridge are not the same thing, right? Porridge has low calories. I mean, it's liquid. And ugali is solid, so it has high calories. You know those guys? Now somebody, let me let you breathe. Sometimes I see some content on the internet, I'm like, how far have we fallen? Well, welcome to Health and Wellness Sport comedy show. Anyway, let's proceed. So, sugar, which is glucose, is highly inflammatory and also is going to cause you, is going to supply cancer with a lot of energy. So these cells will multiply rapidly. That's why glucose is actually banned in people who are actually eating. But if you see very keenly, those people who are suffering from cancer, they're still eating ugali, they're still eating rice. They're thinking glucose is going to come from something else. Glucose is coming as a result of you breaking down rice, breaking down ugali, breaking down chapati. That's what you absorb. You don't absorb brown chapati, you absorb glucose. You don't absorb pilau or biryani, you absorb glucose. Okay? Good. So that is a problem with glucose. That's why we are telling you, when you fast, immediately you fast. And I'll talk about that when I'll be talking about the fasting as we finish it up. Hey. So anyway, so number 1 was genetic predisposition. Number 2 is lifestyle. We've talked about it. And number 3 now is environmental exposure or factors. So this is where we have the carcinogens, the cancer-causing agents or the cancer predisposing agents. Which are they? I've seen people mentioning the arsenic, the lead, and all those, and the mercury. Number 1 is radiation. So one of the causes of cancer is radiation. Now, this radiation doesn't care if it's the diagnosis or the treatment or any other radiation. They will tell you about UV radiation and they will warn you against the sun. But the true story is the sun cannot cause you cancer. If the sun causes cancer, all of us will be dead by now. What causes cancer is, you see that thing that you people put in the nails to dry up your nails? Ladies, you see that blue light and all that? That is high UV radiation that is going to cause you more problems. So as you look at the beauty, look at the health aspect of it. That's the problem. That's the problem. That's the radiation we're talking about. So go and enjoy the sun. The sun will help you activate cholesterol into vitamin D, which is going to help you reverse cancer. But this other one, problems. Number 2, of course, radiation, we're talking about X-rays, we're talking about mammography, we're talking about UV radiation that is coming from those things that you put in your fingers. And then we're talking about heavy metals, mercury, which comes from the skin products. You've seen that girl who is selling you skin products, saying, you know, you have my skin, that's socialite. Oh, my skin, this is where I come in when you have severe acne, when you want a glassy skin like mine. You know that lady? The one who ran with the Kanjo guy? Microwaves are there. Thank you so much. So that one is going to bring you these products that are lightening your skin but going to input mercury in your system that is going to cause more mutations. Another one is asbestos. Asbestos is actually found mostly in these roofing things. Are they called tiles or something? These things that we use for roofing. Roofing tiles, right? Yeah. Asbestos is part of that. Then we have lead that is coming through these pipes. Some of our ministries of water and our counties are pumping water to us, but with very cheap made pipes. They're not steel. They're not cast iron. They're giving you cheap things that have lead inside. And then you will drink lead all through. Then they'll make cancer centers for us. Anyway, we have arsenic. Arsenic is part of the material that is used to form tampons. So ladies, don't be excited with these things that are called the grace cups. I don't know if they're called the grace cups, those plastic things. Ask these people what is used to make this thing. Ask them. So we have those things. We have those tampons that you people use because you want to go swimming at the same time when you're having your periods. Respect those periods. Stop using those tampons. Use a normal pad. Anyway, there's something interesting. Again. Air fryers and non-sticky pans. Same WhatsApp group. Look at the ingredients that are used to coat them. So mostly non-sticky pans. They are coming with a lot of problems. The Teflon. Yeah. Then we have lead. Of course, lead is in water in the pipes. I've told you about that, right? Yes. So yes, if you're intending to use a pan, just buy the stainless steel or cast iron. Do not go for these problems that are actually coated. The non-sticky pans are becoming a darling for most homes. You're going to destroy your systems. Anyway, after that, so we have radiation, and then we have the heavy metals. Now, As we go down, we have the pesticides and herbicides. Now, this is where that gentleman who has a pot belly, the one who rolls the computers, he doesn't understand anything about health, but he's the one who is on boards for health. The one who is here telling us about printed milk. Yes, microwave is part of it. Drop that microwave. There are waves. Yes, I said cast iron. Anyway, let's continue. So now we have pesticides and herbicides, and these are in your homes. If you have any pesticides or any herbicides in your home that has organophosphates, and I will tell you, I'll give you a secret. You see, there's this thing that we used to, this product that we used to kill ticks on our cows that was called, I think, diazonol. That's an organophosphate. It's actually, the ingredient is actually diazinon. Diazinon is an organophosphate. That is a dangerous thing. There's another one called diclovose. So if you see anything in that product, specifically the herbicides and pesticides, that ends with VOS or PHOS, run. So diclovose, there's another one called 𝗕𝗏𝗡𝗧. There's another one called the nerve gas called sarin. And then we have melathion. Most of you know it, melathion. So it ends with THION. These are things that you should read on the ingredients. So people who use herbicides and pesticides. Now, I made a video about Mira in Meru and how it's actually causing people of Meru troubles, and it was pulled down. But I will tell you this for free because they will not pull down this live. Mira in Meru, they are using herbicides that are rich in these products. The glyphosate. There's this very famous herbicide called Roundup. It has a lot of glyphosate. And glyphosate is an endocrine disruptor. Endocrine means hormonal disruptor. And this is a cancer-causing agent. It has actually been banned in multiple countries in the West. Yes, Lev, near Vulolo. Those of you who don't know Vulolo, I think this is lavender. Thank you so much for that. Now, in my village, let me tell you something about this Vulolo. Vulolo is there. This small wanyama, small microorganisms and dudus on chicken. When the chicken zimeangua, when they've just zimetoa hizo vifaranga, they come with these small things. That's what we call in my language Vulolo. Those things are so stubborn. They don't bite as such, but when they are walking on you, you can feel them all over. There's no mama kidogo. So we used to put diazonol in water and then we sprinkle in the houses of those chicken. I'm Luya, so you expect that. So that thing is actually an organophosphate, a very serious thing. I hope you guys know it. I hope you can relate. I hope you can relate. So anyway, also we have something called the chlorinated hydrocarbons. DDT is part of it. But anyway, let me finish that story about Meru. So these guys nowadays, they are not using ash or using natural or traditional means of killing the herbs. So or even pruning. What they are doing is nowadays, they're actually using herbicides that are rich in chemicals. And this is the problem because they are feeding these things, they are eating the same mira, they are feeding it to people in the urban setups. And people are eating this mogoka and this mira that is full of this glyphosate. And now they are eating that mogoka, glyphosate, causing disruption in their genes and their DNA. They are using the mira, they are chewing mira with soda. They are chewing with sugar. I see that in Moyale all the time. They are chewing with soda. They are using sugar. They are using chewing gum. All that is sugar. And then they are drinking energy drinks all night long plus alcohol. What a combination of cancer. And then you still will come back and tell me, Doctor, you know cancer will one day die. You want me to actually join you in a walk creating cancer awareness by just carrying a placard instead of you helping me join these people and tell them the truth about what they're chewing. No way. I'm not joining that walk. I am not, Buana. No way, no way. So yes, so we have those. So we have pesticides and herbicides, we have heavy metals, we have radiation, and the chlorinated hydrocarbons. So that is part of the environmental factors. Number 4, because number 1 was genetics, and then lifestyle, and then environmental factors, and now we are headed straight to infections. On this infections level, this is where HPV is coming in, the viral infections. HPV is human papillomavirus, a very well-known virus in causing cervical cancer. But this is the beauty about HPV. that your immune system has a way of destroying HPV. So you don't need any vaccine for HPV because your system can destroy it. What you need is a change of the kitchen and lifestyle so that you boost your immunity, and therefore the immune system takes over and destroys HPV. But you don't want to hear that. You don't want the long route, right? Because you've been lied to that there's now a new vaccine to prevent you from getting cervical cancer that is caused by HPV. That HPV is just one of the causes of cervical cancer. So as you go to take that vaccine, understand this, that the same people that are serving you with HPV vaccines for free as a girl when you're 10 years and below, get to 18 and you want to get pregnant, they're the same people who will serve you for free with hormonal contraceptives, implants, injections, the depots, and pills and patches. They're the same people who will serve you with hormonal replacement therapy to help you overcome hormonal imbalances. So, think with me. I give you prevention for cervical cancer, and then 8 years down the line, because you've forgotten, I give you things that are high in synthetic estrogens that will disrupt your hormones, raise your estrogen, and expose you to the same cervical cancer. So we walk one step ahead and then 3 backwards. Imagine that. So today we are here pretending how we have come up with this new vaccine that is going to protect you from cervical cancer and HPV. We give them by force and fire. 8 years down the line, we are forcing you to take hormonal contraceptives because we want you to panga uzazi. Aye. My gyna told me, my gyna this, my gyna that, my gyna this, and I've seen in the MCH where these things are actually dished to our women. Women go to a hospital, they want to be told about contraception. And what the nurse does is to produce different contraceptive methods and line them on the table and tells you to choose which one you should use. Instead of him imparting information in your head, he's telling you which one to choose. And he tells you this one is a better one because it will not interact with drugs like antibiotics. So the pills are not safe. You can use this, which is an implant that goes for 5 years. This one is good because it will last you a long period of time. Because it's a pill. Because it's an implant that goes for 5 years or 12 years. This one is a good one. It's a hormonal one, but it's a good one. The 𝗘𝗦𝗏, but has hormones, but it's a good one. So your only battle becomes, should I choose between the 𝗘𝗦𝗏, or should I choose between the implant, or should I choose this other method? It is not about information. It's about choice. Choose this, choose this, choose this. Please, nurses, give them information. But again, how would you give information when you're still in the rectum of the system? You are using one of them. So of course, because it's not acting weird on you, you're preferring to actually tell them and advise them to use the same methods. Ladies, birth control is in the hands of the men, not women. So if you ever find yourself using any birth control method, you married or you are dating a weak male. He has no control over his ejaculation. He cannot put on a condom. He is enjoying the ejaculation. He will not protect you in any way possible. If he cannot protect you from this, that he knows that it is his role to actually make sure that he has the control over his seed. If he ejaculates, a woman is supposed to get pregnant. That is the rule. If a man ejaculates into a woman, the woman is supposed to get pregnant. So if it's a role of a man, men who are watching this with your women, you're the one who are actually pushing these women to do these things. And of course, I'm not blaming the men. I know there are women who have actually gone behind the scenes and put up these contraceptives behind the heads of their men. Mnaenda mnaeka chini ya maji, zikianza kuwaraukia huko ndio mnaanza kukuja. Now your men get to know about this after you have had 5 years of problems, severe headaches. This man wants sex, you're complaining, I have a severe headache every single day. You're complaining of back problems, you're complaining of weak bones, you're always taking calcium supplements. This man is wondering, what is happening to this wife? I did not marry this one. Only to find out there is this implant that you've put here that's causing you more depression. So stop. Let birth control be in the hands of the men. If they want to cut their tubes through vasectomy, let them do it. But they know they are the ones who... Tell them to do a vasectomy. See how they look at you. They will tell you, oh, I'm an African man, I cannot do that. But African men are supposed to retain their semen. But they can't. Put on a condom, gentlemen. Condomize. So those contraceptive methods are actually coming in here handy. So, and you will see, even one of the causes of cancer is actually hormones. Hormones. And these are not natural hormones. Whatever you're taking in that contraceptive is not estrogen, it's not progesterone. It's a synthetic progestin and a synthetic estrogen. It is made in the lab. Yes, men don't want vasectomy, but they want to ejaculate. And they want the women to actually use these things. Let me tell you the truth. Only weak men think narrowly or shallowly. Because I know very well, if my wife is going to put on that implant, all those side effects that are coming in, including cancer, I am going to take full responsibility. The problem is nowadays men and women share bills, so they don't see the burden. But gone are the days when men were ultimate providers and exclusive providers. At that moment in time, a man will not mess because he knows the healthcare bills of this woman are coming to me directly. But nowadays, women have made a step further. They've become masculine. They are providing for their men. So how do you expect that man to actually hold back the ejaculation? How do you even expect a drunk man to actually hold back his ejaculation? Oh, he will apologize the following day. And you'll be there popping P2. You'll be there now. You have to put on a contraceptive method. Haya, mtasikiza siku moja. So viruses like HPV, of course, they expose you, but HPV can be handled by the body. So fix the immune system, let it do the rest. Number 2, we have, of course, the hepatitis B and C. Problems coming in through the sexual part. Another one, we have HIV. You know of Kaposi's sarcoma coming in as a result of low immunity because of HIV. If you boost immunity, cancer is not going to affect you, of course. That's why HIV patients should not only focus on taking ARVs, they should also focus on boosting the immune system. That is one thing you're not told. So go fast, go eat healthy, the fat meats, drop most of the carbohydrates that you're eating, drop those fruits except avocados, and enjoy your life. Then bacterial infections. There's a link between H. pylori and gastric cancer. Then you have parasites like the blood flukes and the liver flukes that cause the bile duct cancer. All these things you have control over. And now the last one is the hormones, where you have hormonal replacement therapy in women who are actually having hormonal imbalances, in women who are having acne, in women who are in postmenopause. They are given estrogens, the patches. That is going to bring problems. It's not an estrogen. It's not a natural estrogen. It's a synthetic estrogen coming from the lab. And your gyna is going to defend it because he's on a paycheck. Now, we have the estrogens. We have the insulin. Because remember, insulin is a very dangerous hormone in cancer because of insulin resistance. So those are the risk factors. I'll mention them again. I've explained everything, but I'll mention them 1 up to 5. Number 1 is genetic predisposition, 2 to 10%. Lifestyle, environmental factors, infections, and then hormones. Oh, if you've not enjoyed this life, you don't belong here. You don't. Kama leo tumefika 69,000 likes kwa TikTok bila kupenda. Kama leo tumefika 194 people on YouTube. That tells you how deep this conversation is. And these are home of conversations. This is a home where we break diabetes in a language that you easily understand. This is a home that we break cancer in a language that can actually make sense to you. This is a place that you put in some comedy so that you just laugh a little bit and enjoy the conversation. So they don't come here, you are so angry, you don't know even what cancer is. Now if somebody grasps you on the street and tells you, hey, wait, cancer ni nini? You can easily stand and tell him, you know what? Sit down, I want to explain cancer to you. And then this guy is busy and says, hey, thank you so much, Kekeli. Team Kekeli. So I appreciate each and every one of you who has gifted us today. Amazing. Every one of you who has actually liked the live, shared it. Everyone who has been here for the last 1 hour, 54 minutes, just getting amazing content. If you came in late, don't worry. The video backup is on YouTube. It's going to be uploaded tonight. It's going to be there. So go on YouTube and subscribe. Health and Wellness Spot on YouTube. And I'm going to see, because we have 336 people here on TikTok. And I know some of you have never bothered to subscribe on that YouTube channel. So please, take this minute as we take in the calls. Go on YouTube, find the channel called Health and Wellness Spot, and press that subscription button. That is how you can actually support us. And on Wednesday, I'll show you something interesting about how you people have actually built us, and we've decided to go a step further. So we will talk about some things on Wednesday. We'll have that conversation on Wednesday. And I hope by then we will have something to actually surprise you and tell you, hey, you know what? This is what we do with the money that you actually give to us. And it's amazing. You build us, we build you. And that's how we grow as a team. So if you've never been on my YouTube channel, please go there and subscribe to that YouTube channel and enjoy health content for free. Health and Wellness Pod is a channel that you cannot miss to be there. So let me tell you the statistics on that YouTube channel. Right now, we are at 34,339. This means we can actually get the 343 of you here to make it 34,600. So why don't we do that? Why don't we do that as we make these calls? I have 2 people here requested. We're going to do those 2 calls and we call it a night. So we're going to do PS and Joy B, and I hope you stick to the topic. Once we do those 2 calls, we can call it a night. And as people go on my YouTube channel to subscribe, we are saying thank you for each and every one of you for supporting us without getting tired. Oh, Isaac, thank you so much for reminding me this. I was almost forgetting. You guys cannot even remind me that I was to talk about fasting and its role in cancer. So I'll talk about it after these 2 calls. Yes, this is who? This is Joy B.
Good evening, Doc.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Now, my question is, my dad died of cancer.
Yes.
And I remember back then I was very young.
You are?
I was only 11 years old.
Yes.
I was very young.
Okay.
10 years old. And he was a pastor.
Yes.
He really ate breakfast at home.
Mm-hmm.
So he would have my mom pack his breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever he'd come back in the evening,
Yeah.
he'd come back with his food the way my mom packs.
Yes.
The boiled egg.
Mm-hmm.
That was back in 2002.
Yes.
So he would still have his bread packed,
Mm-hmm.
two boiled eggs,
Yes.
and that's what he would bring back at home.
Why though?
We as a kid, he never used to have. He said he didn't have time to have his breakfast.
Okay.
So he was diagnosed with cancer in April.
Mm-hmm.
He went to the UK
Mm-hmm.
in August,
Yeah.
and he went with my mom.
Mm.
And apparently in the UK he was diagnosed with a tooth problem,
Tooth problem.
and they removed, yes,
Okay.
and not cancer.
Okay. So it was a misdiagnosis in the beginning.
But I do not understand because
Mm-hmm.
the tooth that had a problem,
Yeah.
the molar tooth that had a problem,
Uh-huh.
were removed in the UK,
Yes.
and they both came back home.
Mm-hmm.
And in November,
Mm-hmm.
he was admitted
Yeah.
to MTRA again with cancer.
Okay.
And by the end of the month, he was gone. So I never really understood it. He was diagnosed with cancer in April.
Mm.
In August, he went to the UK and they said that it was a tooth problem and they removed the tooth.
Mm-hmm.
And then he came back home, and then now it was cancer again, and then he was gone by the end of the month.
What cancer was it?
And then I have never really understood
Mm.
because I was young back then.
Yeah.
I was told it was throat cancer.
Throat cancer.
Some would say it was throat cancer.
Mm.
Yeah, throat.
So we have a lot
That's what I know.
of gaps in this story. One, we don't understand why he was diagnosed with cancer here, went to the UK, they extracted the tooth. I don't know if in UK they
No, when he went to the UK,
Hmm.
he was not going for treatment.
Mm-hmm.
He was going for the ministry program.
Oh, so he
Going as a pastor.
okay. So he just went there and they got a problem with the tooth and they removed the tooth and he came back and
So yes, when he went there, he was going as a pastor, and then he felt ill there, and then when he went to the hospitals there, it was said that it was a tooth problem.
Okay.
And yeah, and one of his tooth was removed. And then when he came back, now around November, he was admitted back again in hospital. And it was cancer again. And
the same cancer.
Yeah.
So, did he start any chemo sessions? I understand you're young and maybe you don't have the information, but do you think he started the chemo sessions?
I don't have the information, but from what I have found from the papers at home, he went through some radiation therapy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't want to point more fingers. I wouldn't want to point fingers on what happened because I don't have the information, so it's hard for me to comment on it. But most things that happen out here is, I think what happened to him is he got so shocked about it, and of course the immune system starts from the head, so he had issues with that. But again, maybe possibly he was not able to handle the radiation or so. But I wouldn't want to actually put a finger on something. I just want to get the whole story plus the lab test and all that so they can actually make my comment on it. Because if
then I was very young then.
Yeah.
So unless I go back to what I have,
that will
documents that I have at the moment, maybe share with you.
That will make sense to me.
Also,
yeah.
My second question is, there's a children's cancer hospital in Eldoret.
Yes.
So how I see so many children having cancer.
Yeah.
And that's I don't understand. Like, how do children, say less than 5 years old, get cancer?
But what are their mothers feeding on before they even get pregnant and when they get pregnant? And then what are these children being fed on when they are weaning? Some of them are consuming the milk formulas. Some of them come already with underlying conditions that happen during the pregnancy because of the diets that their mother were feeding on. Some of them are misdiagnoses. And some of them are just system lies, because how can we have a cancer center for children to handle cancer? Because that means there's a lot of cancer cases coming up, but nobody's trying to handle the real deal. So nobody's actually advising these mothers on nutrition. When you go to A&C clinics and you see how they advise mothers on nutrition, you'll be so shocked. So I really wonder, how is it possible we can actually make a cancer center for children, but we don't advise pregnant women and we don't advise on nutrition in babies? That's why we took the stance to actually do what we are doing. So children are feeding on noodles, and you know that. Children are feeding on margarine. Children are using these processed spices. Children are being fed on things like the seed oils, the wheat products, all through, the sugars. And the mothers are actually feeding this. So these children come from the mother's womb already addicted to these products, because they get it from their mothers. And then mutations are coming in as a result of the diets that are being consumed by their mothers. So yes, it shall get worse if we don't take keen on nutrition. But again, nutrition is actually 15% of medical costs. So it's a problem.
But Doc, from what I've seen, most of these kids that have cancer, they're from poor background.
Okay.
Their mothers cannot afford formula. Yeah, so.
Do you know something called natural selection? Do you know something called natural selection?
No.
Natural selection basically means survival for the fittest. Do you think cancer will care that this child came from a poor background? Do you think it will care?
No.
It won't care. And the reality is, malnutrition is a problem. Now, of course, they have financial constraints because the government is just becoming weak, and we can't even blame it on it. But the reality is, most people look at it even cleanly. Most people are actually moving from the rural setups and coming to settle in the urban setups. And that's the problem, because now Nairobi alone is so full, and these people can actually go and do farming in the villages. So people are coming to the urban setups to look for employment instead of them making their own things in the village. We have farms there that are actually idle, but people are coming to the urban setups, and that's becoming a serious problem. And again, most of these poor families are the ones that women are actually being fed on or being introduced to hormonal contraceptives, because wanaambiwa panga uzazi kwa sababu now you are poor. They have been convinced that they are poor. So now that you are poor, you need to use contraceptives to panga uzazi, to plan the family. So they are the ones who are using these things. The most products. Most rich people don't even care about these products. But the poor are the ones who are actually consuming a lot of pills. They are consuming a lot of products. And they are saying we are poor, but they can afford these products. So poverty is a mindset. Poverty is nothing. It's just a mindset. So if we actually encourage agriculture, which I don't think, you see now, we are here for liberation, because nobody can push agriculture into your head. You simply go back to the villages and do agriculture there. But you're coming into the urban setups, and we are living in these small houses that don't even have the light. We have very poor drainage systems. We have a lot of problems. Contraceptives are being consumed, and these women are still urinating, and that urine is going in the water that's going to be purified by the county governments, and it's brought to you. And that's the reason why the NGOs are rich in these poor places. They are bringing in contraceptives for free. They are bringing in vaccines for free. They are supplying them with products instead of foods. Even our online celebrities are ferrying those products, the food products from the industries, to these children. And they are eating it. What do you expect? So by the time they are being diagnosed, some of them are actually, they're just dead meat. They are just coming in to just be confirmed. So it's an unfortunate situation, but you cannot do anything about it. And that's why change starts with you. It doesn't start with them. It doesn't start by you pitying them. It starts with you. What are you doing? Are you eating healthy? Once you do that now, you can actually have a chance to explain it to other people.
Okay, Doc.
Yeah, so one person at a time, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doctor, I will share my dad's the data that he can get.
Okay. I'll appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Also, you saying about the big pharma.
Yeah.
That is very true, because I remember when I had my second pregnancy.
Yeah.
And I was being told to take the tetanus vaccine.
Yeah.
The tetanus vaccine at the private hospital that I went to was free.
Yeah.
But apparently, when in pregnancy, I had a vaccine, the tetanus vaccine, when I was bitten by a dog. And I didn't understand why I could not pay for the vaccine. My insurance could not pay for the vaccine. There's a specific vaccine that is given, tetanus vaccine that is given during pregnancy.
Yeah.
And I could not get the same vaccine that I paid for when I was bitten by a dog. I really did not understand that.
When you get deeper into these systems, you will get so disappointed. However, anyway, thank you for your insights. Because of time, I'll have to go to another person, then we'll have this conversation. So send me those details so we can actually have this conversation later.
Thank you.
Amazing. I promise to do one more. PS, as you come in, kindly make it short. I want to talk about fasting and its role in cancer before I call it a night. I don't want to leave this topic hanging. Yes, talk to me, PS. PS, we are listening to you. Talk to us. This one is in 𝗕𝗔𝗧𝗏. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, as we summarize this topic of the night, let's talk about the roles of fasting in cancer management or prevention. Number one, do you remember us saying the sources of cancer cells energy? We said glucose and glutamate. Glucose being the highest source of energy. So when you're fasting, number one, you're actually limiting your intake of glucose in form of carbohydrates. So you're actually limiting the energy sources for the cancer cells. Number two, fasting heals inflammation. And we said cancer cells spread so fast through inflamed tissues. So what is going to happen is when you're fasting, you're healing inflammation. And when you're fasting, you're denying yourself glucose. So therefore, you're denying the cancer cells energy, and then you're now producing, you're now healing inflammation, so therefore the cancer cells will not spread. And when they remain in one place, your immune system targets them and destroys them. Also, fasting boosts your immune system. So when you boost your immune system, you suppress the cancer cells, you destroy them, you're good to go. But most importantly, when you're fasting, your body stops consuming carbohydrates, so you stop relying on carbohydrates for energy. You break down glycogen, you finish it up, specifically 48-hour fast or so. Now your body turns to the fats to burn them to give you ketones. Two roles for ketones. Ketone bodies, number one, they are anti-inflammatory. So they prevent you from inflammation, they heal inflammation, they prevent spread of cancer cells through the blood and the lymph. Number two, ketone bodies are the worst energy sources for cancer cells. They don't know how to utilize ketone bodies. So what happens is, when you're fasting, your body stops using glucose, it turns to the alternative source, which is ketone bodies. Now it has to burn ketone bodies to, it has to burn the fat, to give you the ketone bodies. And since cancer cells don't know how to utilize ketone bodies, but your own cells know how to utilize ketone bodies as energies, that means your cells will survive, the cancer cells will die. And of course, you're fasting, you're boosting your immune system. So cancer cannot survive when your immune system is up, when inflammation is low, and when there is adequate supply of oxygen. Remember also, fasting is coming in to clear the occluded blood vessels and now improve circulation, improve oxygen delivery to tissues. And when you improve oxygen delivery to tissues, the cancer cells start to die. They don't like glucose at all. Another thing is that fasting is just a discipline. It's just a way of life. It's a discipline. And fasting helps you produce new stem cells. So therefore, new genes, therefore new cells, therefore even the mutations that are there already, they will be destroyed. And actually, you're going to boost the 3 genes that are going to help you suppress the cancer spread. So fasting is key. And people who have been diagnosed with cancer, or if you are intending to prevent yourself from getting cancer, why don't you embrace fasting? You will never regret it. It is free. It is healthy. You will not die just because you fasted. There are people who actually complain of fasting. I will die. I will have low energy. But I'm telling you this. When you're eating, you're actually going to have low energy than somebody who is fasting. Why? Because when you're eating, you're taking those carbohydrates because they're the ones that you're addicted to. You're breaking them to glucose. You're going to synthesize glucose into ATP, and you will get possibly about 4 calories of energy from glucose, from burning glucose. But when you're turning to fats to burn the fats down to get ketone bodies, you're going to get 9 calories of energy. So you have to do the maths. If fats are giving you 9 calories of energy, and glucose is giving you 4 calories, which one is the energy giving food? Is it fat or is it carbohydrates? Choose wisely. Choose wisely. And again, as you consume these fats, as you burn the fats, remember, you have these fats that you're consuming actually are going to give you the cholesterol that is going to be used to synthesize vitamin D. That's going to help you in your immune system. So embrace fasting by all means, by all that you can, because it is free, it is economical, you will not spend a lot of money. So if you're eating 1 meal a day, how can you say healthy eating is expensive? Keto diets are essential in this thing. They are essential, I'm telling you, for free. Because it's a multifactorial thing. You combine keto diets, you combine it with fasting, you combine it with exercise, the sun, sleep, rehydration, and all this. And we've talked about them all through when we were talking about the risk factors. So you simply avoid the risk factors and then focus on improving your lifestyle. And that's where fasting comes in handy. So therefore, you cannot avoid fasting. You can't. Even the men who are having prostate cancer, which is being caused by high levels of estrogen, when you're fasting, you're boosting testosterone, you suppress estrogen. Is simple common sense. You see it and you exercise, you practice it. On that note, every weekend on my platforms, we perform fasting, 48-hour fast. We eat on Friday and we eat again on Sunday evening. So why don't you join in that? That's the reason why you should join my Telegram channel, Health and Wellness Sport. That's the reason you should be on that channel, because that's where we communicate all these things. That's why we encourage each other to fast and make sure that we lead a healthy life. Now, this is a month that people are going to eat all the unhealthy foods. And in their head, they're thinking they have tomorrow. So they're thinking, this December, I have saved a lot of money. I will eat all the chapatis and all the seed oils and the soda and alcohol, and I will fast in January. Shock on you. Shock on you, because you don't have tomorrow. Living in the future is actually an evil sign of you. So you don't have a future. You don't even have 10 minutes from now. So who told you live in January to fast? So combine it with fasting. And now there are people who will not access healthy foods. If you are unable to access healthy foods generally, just go on 1 meal a day. and do weekly 48-hour fast to clean up the system. You need it. So stop complaining. If you cannot run, jog. If you cannot jog, walk. If you cannot walk, do something. If you cannot go to the gym, do a house workout, a home workout, using your body weight. There's always something you can do. If you cannot sleep, eat healthy, start fasting, and stop using the phone until late night. Stop going with the phone into your bed. Rehydrate adequately with water and salt. And then sit back and see how you will look at people complaining about cancer, yet you don't have a problem. Nowadays, you see, you've just heard her saying there are cancer centers for children. That tells you there's no room for survival. Our national referral hospital was actually doing a research on cancer in children. I hope they have actually finished or completed that. But you will realize, even after doing that research, they will not provide nutrition for these children. They will still say the same things, only a different version of the syllabus. They will uphold the big pharma because that's what is funding them. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have done all these videos on my YouTube channel, Health and Wellness Sport. Oh man. You guys, you are better off hapa, uko safe. You're even better off in fixing your kitchen. You can even avoid this life. You can't even avoid me. But at least know that I told you, you need to fix that kitchen. So go and fix that kitchen. Start fasting. Start eating those fermented foods. Don't see people making fermented cabbage. You're there saying, hii kitu inanuka vibaya. Just make yours. Wacha inuke vibaya. We will correct you. Fast. Don't say, mimi nikifast naona nitakufa. You've not fasted yet. So how do you know you'll die? Fast and let's see if you die. Just do it. Somebody saying, we hope YouTube will one day promote your videos. Bro, I have come to terms that YouTube can never promote any of my videos. And I wouldn't even want them to promote it because they know their agenda is not to actually inform the public. They are part of the agenda. The agenda is actually to mess up the public, and somebody who is not informed is easy to manipulate. Somebody who is emotional is very easy to manipulate. So they will not do that, I can assure you. The only thing we can do to actually make sure that YouTube channel goes further is you people sharing that content. The same way you're doing it. That's the best thing and the best gift that you can actually give to us. Sharing our content, whether TikTok or YouTube channel. Share it wide. Share the videos. Let those who you are sharing to ignore. Let them ignore you. But don't sit there and think that they have the information already. That's why it's important for you to actually share this content. Just share it. It is free. Share it on your platform, on your Facebook, in those WhatsApp groups, those home groups, those get-together groups that you're getting in now, those rural shows, those gender reveal parties, those groups that you're forming. Share there. Let them know that there's a YouTube channel that's actually going to change their lives for the better, because some of them don't have this information. They would love to get such information, but they can't. Why? Because we don't share it. But imagine I take time to make this content, research about it, read about it, and then come here and present it to you so you see the sense. And now you're just seated sharing nothing, yet all the information is on that platform. So please help us grow by sharing our content. And we appreciate you so far because you've done a good job. You've followed us, you've liked our videos, you've shared them, and you ask us questions, and we respond where we can. Thank you so much for being an amazing audience. There's no audience like you. And I appreciate each and every one of you for having taken us through this night. We have done 2 hours, 19 minutes of a show. That is tremendous. Now, I will not fail to appreciate those who have liked the live, those who have shared the live, those who have actually gifted us, both monetary and through gifts on TikTok, and even Rosalida, who has been here and shared a super chat of $20. That's so amazing and that's tremendous. We appreciate you for actually doing that. It's a kind gesture from you. We appreciate you. So all of you who have been here for the last 2 hours and 20 minutes, we cannot say enough thank you. We can only hope that this information impacts you positively, and we hope that you do not have any regrets for tonight's live. Thank you so much for attending. I will see you on Wednesday as we handle another topic that we will communicate in due time. Have a good night, have a good morning, have a good afternoon. This is the Health and Wellness Spot, and this is Dr. Lewis Muchile Obunde. Amazing.